Hello there, my name is Stuart Clark. I'm originally from South Africa, but am now living in Abergavenny in Wales, and I have a PhD in microbiology that I was awarded at Montana State University in the USA, and I'm here to chat very briefly about vaccines. I recognize that there's a lot of controversy around vaccines and whether or not we as Christians should receive vaccines, whether we should be vaccinated. I understand that it is quite a difficult topic to grapple with, but I just wanted to share with you a little bit from my own perspective of whether vaccines are good or bad, or whether we should or should not be vaccinated as Christians. As a microbiologist, I have been able to study viruses and bacteria throughout my career, and to be honest, it's surprising to me just how much there has been in the media of late around the debates and discussions of vaccines, particularly the COVID-19 vaccine that is currently under development and in clinical trial. So just for your information, there's two main kinds of vaccines that are currently available. The one is known as a live vaccine, and that is where bacteria or viruses are grown in the laboratory under artificial conditions and are then turned into a form that is deliverable to the human body. And these live bacteria or live viruses are able to grow, albeit in a weakened way, in the human body, and that elicits an immune response which, if you are then exposed to that same kind of virus or bacteria at a later stage, your body already has a memory of that previous attack from the vaccine. Your immune system can mount a suitable response to the new infection, and your body can then defeat that infection. The other kind of vaccine is known as an inactive or an activated vaccine. And this is where the vaccine is composed of non-living parts of bacteria or viruses that have been grown artificially in the laboratory, or indeed have not even been grown in the laboratory, but of which parts of those bacteria or viruses have been put together synthetically in the laboratory. And so, for example, the current coronavirus vaccine that is being developed in Oxford is one such inactivated virus. If you think of the coronavirus pictures that you may have seen in the media, you think of a soccer ball with little spikes on the outside of the soccer ball. And the new vaccine that is being developed is essentially one such vaccine where those little spikes have been replicated from the coronavirus and then artificially stuck onto another type of virus, which is a chimpanzee virus that is unable to cause any disease in humans, but which has also further been inactivated, and all of its potential toxicity has been removed. And then those coronavirus spikes have been artificially placed on the outside of the chimpanzee virus. And that vaccine is now being administered to patients through clinical trial. And we're now in about phase 3 clinical trial. Now, smallpox is an example of a disease that has been eliminated from the world population by means of vaccination. Smallpox has been around since about the 3rd or 4th century before Christ and has been seen throughout the ages to wreak havoc on populations. But because of the efforts of a vaccination program, the last case of smallpox was seen in about 1978, and in 1980 the World Health Organization declared the world to be officially free of smallpox in all the populations. And this is one such example of how vaccines have been so effective in modern medicine to ensure our safety and the safety of our children and the generations to come, so that we can live in a world where this particular disease, like smallpox, is no longer a threat to our population. So, as I've mentioned, there is controversy around the use of vaccines, and in particular, I am aware that for a Christian, some of the controversy does come in the form of wondering whether or not the vaccines that we are being administered have benefited in their development or in their use from stem cell research or the use of aborted fetuses. And there are actually only 2, possibly 3 vaccines that are being used in the United Kingdom where these vaccines are currently grown on cell lines that have arisen from aborted fetuses. The fetus was actually aborted in about 1978, and the cell lines have been growing ever since then and have been part of medical research. And that is the vaccines for chickenpox and shingles, and the rubella part of the measles, mumps and rubella vaccine. In terms of the coronavirus vaccine, the coronavirus vaccine is not a live virus vaccine as I've described, but is in fact an inactive vaccine that does not rely on the use of any human cell lines, either in its development or in its current form for administration. So currently, the coronavirus vaccine developed at Oxford University is in phase 3 clinical trial with various clinical trial sites around the world. The only adverse event or negative effect that has been recorded in the coronavirus phase 3 clinical trial has been in the Brazilian site with the death of one of the participants. But in fact, that participant was not even administered the coronavirus vaccine, but was rather administered a placebo, which means that they were administered a blank form of a vaccine. And that patient unfortunately died due to underlying heart conditions. Given what I know about the development of this vaccine, and the fact that in the United Kingdom, the MHRA is the regulatory body ensuring compliance of all clinical trials, and they are renowned worldwide to be one of the strictest regulatory bodies. And so I know that anything that has come out of these clinical trials is going to be safe, both from the research that's been performed at Oxford University as well as the results of the clinical trial. And given the opportunity, I most certainly would take the vaccine for myself, and I would highly recommend that anybody else who is able to take the vaccine do so. So thank you so much for listening. I trust it was helpful, and should you have any questions, I'm more than happy to engage with you through email or through phone call discussions.